Have you ever seen an ad online and thought, how did it know? Or how does a company have any idea if that ad actually made you buy something? Well, today we're going to pull back the curtain on the world of modern marketing analytics. We'll trace its wild ride from the Mad Men era of creative guesswork all the way to the super precise, data-powered world we live in now. And yeah, this quote right here, it absolutely nails it. That old school image of some slick executive in a fancy suit coming up with a killer slogan over lunch, that's pretty much ancient history. Today, marketing is a science, and data, that's the language it speaks. Seriously, every little decision, from the color of a button on a website to the exact time an email lands in your inbox, is all backed by cold, hard numbers. This really shows you just how massive that shift has been. Marketing yesterday was all about gut feelings. You'd put up a billboard and just hope the right people saw it. But today, it's a total 180. It's all about evidence. We can predict what you might do next, measure everything, and make it personal. We've gone from throwing darts in the dark to building a predictable engine for growth. Which, of course, brings us to the big question, the one we're really trying to answer here. With all these different ads and emails and social media posts, how on earth do businesses untangle that web to figure out what actually led to a sale? Well, we're going to follow the data breadcrumbs step by step and find out. Okay, so our story starts right where the customer's story starts, with a simple search. Before a brand can sell you a thing, you have to find them first. And in the massive, noisy ocean that is the internet, just getting found is the first huge hurdle to clear. So to grab your attention on a search engine like Google, businesses really have two main plays in their playbook. And I love this analogy of the marathon and the sprint. Both can get you to the finish line, for sure, but they demand totally different strategies and types of energy. First up, let's talk about the marathon, SEO. This is the long game, a true test of endurance. It's all about earning that top spot in Google's search results. You're not paying Google directly for it. You're basically working to convince Google's algorithm that your website is the most trustworthy, the most relevant, the absolute best answer to what someone is looking for. And you might be wondering, is this whole marathon worth all the effort? Well, just look at this number. More than half of all traffic to websites comes from people clicking on those free organic search results. So yeah, if you want to grow your business for the long haul, a strong SEO game is absolutely critical. All right, now for the sprint, pay per click, or PPC. This is the fast track. It's a pay-to-play world. You can basically buy an ad spot at the very top of the search results and be seen almost instantly. It's amazing for immediate visibility, but, and this is a big but, the second you stop paying, poof, you're gone. This chart lays out the trade-offs perfectly. SEO is a long-term investment that builds trust. And let's be honest, think about your own habits. Studies show most of us just skip right past those paid ads. PPC, on the other hand, gives you incredible speed and control. So what's the right move? For most businesses, it's not an either-or situation. It's about a smart mix of both. Okay, so you got 'em. Whether it was through that slow and steady SEO marathon or a lightning-fast PPC sprint, someone has landed on your website. So what happens now? Well, this is where the real data collection kicks into high gear. The goal is to track and understand every single digital footstep they take. And the main tool in this detective's toolkit is Google Analytics 4, or GA4 for short. It's pretty much the standard for this stuff. But here's the thing. GA4 isn't just a simple update to the old version. It represents a totally new way of thinking about how we behave online, especially now that we jump between our phones, laptops, and tablets all the time. Here's the key difference. The old way of doing things was session-based. It was kind of like saying, hey, someone came into the store and stayed for 10 minutes. That's all you knew. But GA4 is event-based. It's way more detailed. It's like saying, someone came in, picked up a blue shirt, looked at the price tag, scrolled down the page on their phone, then put it back. It tracks every single action, which lets businesses see the whole story of you, the person, not just a random visit. So now we've got this fire hose of incredibly detailed data pouring in. Clicks, scrolls, views, you name it. But all that data by itself is just noise. It's useless until someone can make sense of it. And that's where the human element is so crucial. You need the data detective to find the real story hidden inside all those numbers. And that detective has a job title, the marketing analyst. Their whole job is to be the bridge between the chaotic world of raw data and the world of smart business decisions. They're translators, really, taking all this complex stuff and turning it into clear recommendations that a team can actually go out and use. A day in the life of an analyst is never boring, let me tell you. They might spend their morning digging into which ads are working best, then their afternoon playing spy and researching what a competitor is up to. But no matter what they're doing, their ultimate goal is always the same: make sure every single dollar spent on marketing is working as hard as it possibly can. And a huge part of their job, maybe the most important part, is storytelling. Because a giant spreadsheet of numbers isn't going to convince the boss to do anything. The best analysts turn their findings into charts and graphs that tell a clear story. And they're honest, even when the news is bad. They don't just say, "This failed." They say, "This failed. Here's why, and here's our plan to fix it." That's how you turn data into action. Okay, now for the final piece of the puzzle. And honestly, this is the hardest part, the part that keeps marketers up at night. We know how people find us, we know what they do on our site, but when they finally make a purchase, who gets the credit? Which marketing effort actually sealed the deal? This is the million-dollar question. This challenge has a fancy name, of course: marketing attribution. But really, it's just a scientific way of figuring out how to divvy up the credit. If you can understand what truly influences a sale, you can put more money and effort into the things that actually work. Let me paint you a picture you've probably lived a dozen times. You see a cool product in an Instagram ad. A few days later, you search for it on Google and click a shopping ad. The next day, you get an email with a 10% discount, and you finally buy it. So, who's the hero here? Was it Instagram for planting the seed, Google for getting you closer, or the email for pushing over the edge? Well, the old school way of solving this was way too simple. One model would give 100% of the credit to the very first thing you saw, the Instagram ad. Another would give it all to the very last thing, the email. The problem? That's like saying the player who scored the goal is the only one who matters, completely ignoring the rest of the team that made it happen. It just doesn't reflect reality. But today, we have much, much smarter tools. Instead of those simple rules, we use complex data science models. Think of it like a massive game of connect the dots. The model looks at thousands of customer journeys, connecting the dots to see which paths most often lead to a purchase. It can then figure out how important each dot is by calculating what would happen if you took it away. It's super clever stuff. And that brings our entire journey full circle. From getting found on Google in the first place, to tracking every little click on the website, all the way to using data science to figure out who gets the credit. This is the whole picture. It's a system designed from the ground up to replace "I think this is working" with "I know this is working." So here's a little challenge for you. The next time you buy something online, just pause for a second and try to retrace your steps. Think about that first ad you saw, that search you did, that review you read. Because now you know you're in on the secret. You know there's a team of data detectives working behind the scenes, connecting all those dots and piecing together the hidden story that led you to finally click buy.